Well, hey there, everybody. How's it going? I got a day off work finally, and I'm working on a Baja mini bike frame I have. It has front suspension, solid rear end, and the front suspension has seen its better days. They're pretty well bent. Well, I've tried putting a 3/4 inch rod in my anvil stump and heating it up and trying to straighten them out. That's not working, but I have an idea. See, it's bent from here down. Well, actually, it's bent like right in here on both sides. So I'm going to cut those off, and I'm going to put that 3/4 inch black iron pipe inside of it, drill me some holes, and fill it welded in to the upper tube. And that's going to give me a rod to keep it straight. And then I'm going to take that chrome-plated tubing there, and I'm going to weld it to the existing tubing here and bring it down and use that as a stop, because that shock rod goes up inside of the pipe and it kind of keys in with that bolt there. But I'm going to be eliminating those bolts, which is going to give it a little bit of a cleaner look, I think. And I'm going to use the end of that rod as a stop and then weld those in. And I'm probably going to add 2 inches to that, so I'm going to have more of a chopper rake to this thing. It's not going to be massive performance-wise as street, but I'm going to be building as an off-road deal. And that little extra rake on the front end is going to give me a little more ground clearance with the frame. So, anyway, let's get to hacking, chopping, welding, hammering, and beating. And we'll see how this turns out. Alright, well, I've got the bent parts chopped off of the front fork assembly. And in order to do it, I also had to cut off my fender mount, which I can weld that back. That's not a problem at all. I might actually want to move the front fender down, but that's not important right now. Right now is fixing the bent forks. So, anyway, we're going to do some measurements, and we're going to slide our rods in there, drill some holes, put some fillet welds in there to mount the black iron pipe in there after we clean the black iron pipe up. And then we're going to figure out how much longer we're going to make these front forks and put them together. Stay tuned. Okay, well, the black iron pipe would not work because I had to have a little bit smaller end. So what I did was I took some 3/4 inch galvanized with threads, and then I knocked the threads off of them. And after I knocked the threads off of them, I took my mini sledge and drove them down in the forks so that I could adjust that and make it straight. But I've got it down inside of the fork tubes about 1 inch. And now I'm ready to deburr this and then cut my my chrome moly tubing there to slide over this, and then I can spot weld and make a few adjustments if I need to, and then weld it solid all the way around, and then knock the welds down and straighten out these forks. But yeah, I still got a little bit more work to do, and then I've got to install the front fork shocks and those rods there too, and weld those in. So yeah, we still got a little bit more to do. Alright, well, I reinstalled the wheel, and then I put my rods up inside there, fillet welded them in, and then I welded in my chrome moly tubing to straighten it out. It's still a little off, but it's not near as bad as what it was, because originally one of the grips had to be 2 to 3 inches forward of the other in order to have it track straight. And it's a heck of a lot better than what it was. It might be off maybe a 1/4 inch overall, which is maybe a 64th of an inch on my alignment. In hindsight, I should have built a jig, but I didn't build a jig. I just kind of did it by eyeball. But if I spin it around, it's pretty darn straight compared to what it was. And now I'm going to let it cool so I don't have to deal with warpage, which, I've already tack welded it in a couple places. I need to clean the tack welds up because I use flux core MIG, and then I can weld it solid all the way around those tubes and then clean it up and then, hit it with a little bit of paint, and it's going to look pretty good. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, it's an off-road mini bike, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but it's definitely going to be comfortable. Okay, well, I've added in my fork extensions and straightened out the front forks on the mini bike as best I could by eyeballing it. You have to overlook my crappy welds. I'm using a Harbor Freight 220 welder, and my wire kept hanging up in my MIG tip. So I'm going to have to clean those up, grind them out, replace my tip, and re-weld them to get cleaner welds. But as you can see, they're pretty well straight. They're eyeball straight, so it might be off a little bit, but it's not going to be off as much as it used to be. Anyway, I've got to run into town and get me a new MIG tip for 35 thousandths wire. And I'm going to finish welding that up and clean those off and re-weld them and then clean them off again so I can get ready for paint on the front end. But, overall, it seems like it's worked out pretty good with that. Okay, so anyway, these are the tires that are going back on it. And these are 19-inch ATV wheels, or tires. Usually go on the front of most ATVs. But that's going to be my front and rear wheel for a mini bike. And to give you a comparison, this is a Yerf Dog Spider Box tire. That's the back tire. And I got me a little bit more height out of that than a Yerf Dog Spider Box back wheel. So it ought to do pretty decent off-road. And the reason why I extended the forks is because before I got it, somebody had hit something with the front end and it pushed the forks back. Well, by extending the forks, I'm getting a little bit more forward rake out of the forks. So if I hit something, I'll have less of a chance of bending them than, because then they'll be at more of an angle like that. So instead of like this, they'll be out like this. So it'll have a better chance of compressing the shocks and coming over it as opposed to not compressing the shocks and folding under. So that's why I did that. But I've got a lot of cleaning up to do on this yet. Definitely need to clean up those welds. They are ugly. But anyway, I'll get them cleaned up and get everything mocked up. And of course, that's not the gas tank that's going to go on it. I've got a 2.5 gallon Honda pit bike gas tank that I'm going to put on there. And I'm probably going to cut down the seat mount back there and lower the back of the seat. But I want to wait until I get the tires on it and the handlebars back on and get all that cleaned up. Then I can see how it sets by setting the seat on there, and I can adjust the angle of the seat from there. Anyway, I got off work, had to do some shopping, ended up being out late, and I'm not fooling with anything else on this tonight. So, Anyway, whenever I make some more progress on this, I'll update you guys on how it's going. But I will tell you that I'm planning on putting a charging system on this, headlights, taillights, possibly turn signals, brake light, because I just think it'd be cool. And anyway, I got to figure out where I want to mount a battery, probably up here in front of the engine. I'll mount the battery box there, and I've already got the wire to wire it, the headlight, possibly tail light and turn signals. I'll have to look and see. I got to find it. But anyway, I'm gonna make a cool little ride out of it. So we'll see you guys later. Bye.